if I got Robert Morris, Duquesne, IUP Slippery Rock, and I know I can play at IUP Slippery Rock, Cal, any of these schools right away, I'm going to go Division II. I'm going to play. If I'm like that, the portal's going to call.
You want to bring it in?
Start us off, but I'm going to bring him in because I did all the little studying, you feel me?
All right, perfect. Guys, welcome to the show. We've got another episode of Athletic Aesthetic here where art and sports connect through conversation. And Tre, we got a good episode for everybody today. So without further ado, I'd like for you to maybe intro our guests.
For sure.
Know who we got in the studio.
Let me get myself warmed up for my main man. So with that said, man, we got a neighborhood native. And the reason why I said neighborhood native, because he literally changed the city of Pittsburgh. Seen a bunch of kids doing things that he didn't agree with, but he was like, we need more kids going to college, going to the league. And my man took the time to do so. My man is let me make sure I get this right, a Bell Suver native, Carrick High School graduate, degree from Thiel College, hooper at Trait, but loves to train and get the kids right, which I love about him. Started 210s in 2004. I did my studying.
Yeah,
all right, without further ado, my man Dewayne Brown, how we doing, brother? How we doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here. I appreciate, you reaching out to me and let me share stories.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's
Yes,
what
sir.
we're all about over here, man. It's been fun to get to launch this show because, I have a background in sports. Tre obviously played football at Pitt, but I'm more in the art world now. So having to getting to do the show with Tre every week, it's cool because it pulls me back into the world of sports because of all the contacts that he has.
I'm an art guy too.
You are too?
I know the story about Basquiat, all type of stuff. Yeah,
all right, Tre, we don't need you for this episode.
The hip hop, all that, date Madonna, all that stuff.
So you're deep in the game.
So into the training part. So just to give you the background. So every Saturday morning, I would run to the TV watching Kung Fu theater.
Okay.
So if you notice, the way I train, it's not by book. So the art background, so Basquiat, Andy Warhol, Picasso. So Basquiat's story was he had to go to the hospital. He started reading the Gray's Anatomy.
Okay.
So what happened was he started looking deeper and deeper. That's why you see different levels in his artwork.
Right.
So me, when I'm doing the training, you see how everything's a sequence and everything is you see everybody moving a sequence. So that's the,
that's where it comes from.
Kung Fu.
Right.
And I was I grew up in the hip hop.
Right.
The beginning phases. You know what I'm saying?
Wu-Tang,
all that. Well, I'm back there. I go back to the Cold Crush crew.
Oh, okay.
All these early guys, because the elements of graffiti
Right.
and different things, breakdancing.
Right.
Beat Street, all that stuff. So all that is ideally what I put into the training, my mindset with it.
That's where it comes from.
So I don't, because I'm a trainer, but I consider my stuff like a art. You know what I mean? So that's,
I think the most successful people in anything, when you take your craft and you're like, how do I hone in on that? How do I make it an art? And if you just show up every day to run some cone drills, that's why you're sitting here and the other people aren't.
That's a fact.
You've created something that people haven't seen. It's obviously proven results. So that is the pride in your craft. So definitely salute to you, man. Welcome on the show as an artist and as an athlete. So this is the perfect mixture.
Yeah.
It's like a perfect setup. But yeah, Tre, I mean, I know you have obviously, let's start there. How do you guys know each other? How have you worked together? And
So essentially what happened is I didn't have the opportunity to train with D Brown coming up through high school just because, one, I was literally on the outskirts of the outskirts, right? And literally the middle of nowhere. But with that said, man, as I came up through Pitt, man, I'm constantly seeing these guys coming in all from the same place. I'm like, where are y'all coming from, right? And D Brown had created not only a 7-on-7 team, but created this training piece for years and years and years and years. But the real understanding of it started to pop around 2015, at least from my understanding.
Right.
It started to pop crazy. If you were an athlete, NFL, college, or high school, and you were training, you were with D Brown. If you wasn't with D Brown, then you probably wasn't doing the right stuff. That's just how it seemed to be in the neighborhood. So constantly seeing him around, man, I just wanted a conversation. He became honestly a mentor from a distance, to be honest with you, man. And he's that to a lot of people in the city and the neighborhood. So I just started asking questions, and then players, and it just started to mold each other together a little bit. You know what I mean? So I told him years back, I was like, man, I'm gonna get you on a podcast. We're gonna tell your story eventually. This had to be what, 3-4 years ago?
Right.
Didn't even have a podcast.
Didn't even have a podcast yet, bro. Like,
this guy's inviting people to podcasts
so
that don't exist.
And it was crazy because like now fast forward, I'm like, this is perfect timing.
Yeah.
Because, bro, he's a legend in the neighborhood. When I say a legend, like an actual legend, bro, like trained some of the top guys, been around some of the top guys, bro. So I wanted the opportunity, and now it's here.
That's awesome, dude. So, yeah. So what do you know about this guy over here?
So, Tre, you could tell from the beginning, so he was always thinking out the box. One thing is, like I told you, I ain't go to school for training. I just got certified, but my degree is, I majored in philosophy, psychology, and so I was able to pick up just different traits with him. So that's what helps me with different guys. If you train a guy like Aaron, train a guy like Miles, it's more than just, like you said, doing some cone drills. Mm-hmm. You can't train everybody the same kind of way, or you got to, even with a guy like Jaquan Brisker, you got to attack them different ways to get them to like feel it. You know what I mean? So, and basically through that, I use dealing with people, dealing with different aspects of how, how their character is to make them understand the training of it. But he was always, you could tell he was always on a different level. You know what I'm saying? Just talking to him. So
I appreciate that.
You gotta be
man.
on a different level to wear that hat, for sure.
Listen, bro, I just don't care, bro. Either you gonna like me or hate me. It's either one or the other or in between. I'm still gonna be me.
I think we should drop
ain't
some
no wrong with the
patches
hat
on it.
You feel me?
Dude.
You feel me? It's all
I'm just, every day he comes in here, and every day I'm like, dude, I just wear a hat and a t-shirt every day, and then I'm like,
I'm gonna try something different.
Yeah, he really mixes it up. So I appreciate that. It adds a little bit of something to the shot over here, like popping on this blue wall. You look great, dude. I'm sure. I can only imagine what it looks like on the camera.
With that said, though, I got some questions. You got some questions?
Yeah, man. I got a lot for you today. Right. I'm always someone that starts at the beginning. So, I usually in our interviews, we kind of start there and just talk about, sports growing up for you.
Right.
And even some, now that I know that you're an artist as well, what are some of your creative things that you did growing up that, you started to maybe think like an entrepreneur, or think differently than most people?
Well, entrepreneur-wise, it was always something where it was hard for me to, I follow rules, but it was just I knew it was hard for me working for people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Especially when you in certain situations where you, not saying you know more than the person, but you give an idea and they don't go with it, and then your idea works. So you're like, this ain't for me. You know what I mean? And just a mere fact, I just couldn't be in corporate America. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They each his own. You know what I mean? They each his own.
You
but
ever had any jobs in corporate?
I mean, I worked in the schools. Actually, I worked as a counselor in the Pittsburgh Public Schools for 18 years.
Oh, wow.
So I used to use that actually by me. I started the training, and I used to use that to get a lot of the kids to come training. So like Jalen Coleman, they call him Doodles. He's a coach at UPrep. He ended up going to University of Toledo.
Okay.
I've been knowing Jalen since he's been young. So when Jalen got to high school, so we go back to the 7-on-7 in 2012. That's when they actually had started with the swag.
Yeah.
Jalen was actually the first videotape when they was doing highlight tapes.
Oh, yeah.
I gave to Io Fap.
Okay.
Io Fap was a guy that in 2012 that got all the people together. So I was speed training up Carrick High School in Alderdice in the wintertime and outside at Greenway Field at this particular time. So I used to have all a lot of the major guys. So not to get off track, but 2010, this was on the field at Greenway. You had Aaron Donald, Manessa Garner, John Wessel, Jalen Coleman, Drayvon Henry, Jelani Fields, DeMar Hamlin, Jordan Whitehead, Dane Jackson, Greg McGee, Tyreek Jarrett.
Big Freaky. Shout out to my dog.
Yeah. They was all, because they would come to the west side.
Right.
Archie was there, Archie Donald.
Right.
Ken Lou, his son's at Gateway now, trained him because he was in the Bengals.
Right.
And Archie was at Cleveland, getting ready to go to Cleveland. Cleveland at the time. Yeah. So I had all those on the field at one particular time. train them. So it's no different than being down the indoor with 150, 180
Nah, for real,
kids. Because you don't know, just like this year's draft class was Day Hardy and MJ Devonshire, but on their team, they got 4 guys in the league, and the guy that you wasn't thinking was going to go before all of them, Sky Moore, he went before. He was the first one out that group to go.
Right.
And Joey Porter, now MJ and Devonshire. So there'll probably be maybe a couple more out of that. I think that was like that 2. I can't remember what class that was.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys in the league right now from one group of guys.
Right.
So let me ask you this: when do you think that moment happens where you go, there's something different about this kid?
So dealing with Aaron, right? You know, he was like, as he grew, I grew because I had to keep things training. Because people were like, man, what you know about training D linemen? I said, I don't know nothing, but I know about making these dudes more athletic.
Right.
So I was the first person to like take a lineman and train him like he was a skill guy. So when people was like, oh, that ain't gonna work, guess what?
It worked.
Rookie of the year. You know what I mean? We see he's going to be first ballot Hall of Famer. So then people start catching on. Then other people start coming in. Just like Justin Matabuku, he trained with me. He'll be coming in to train, and he was rewarded with a big contract, you know? Right. Isaiah Foskey, he's another guy. I trained Jason Kelsey. I trained Najee Harris. I trained David Montgomery.
You had Minka at one point, didn't you?
Mika, I trained Pickens. Yeah, they all came to me, a lot of Steelers, because, you know, Mike actually tells them, if you do some off-season work, local guy, he'll tell them to come to me. So, but Aaron, Aaron is so competitive, like, he don't want nobody to beat him, bottom line. You know what I'm saying? That's just how he is. And, you know, I watch him. So he's like and it's a great standard. I always can look at him and be like, all right, I know what it takes for a guy to get into the league.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you got guys out there that are talented. They have NFL ability. But the flip side is, do you check off the boxes? Are you a high character guy? Are you going to come on time? So if it's 8 o'clock, are you going to come at 7:30? So a lot of guys, what happens is, they don't get in the league because they can't do the things off the field. So if you can't do the things off the field, how they going to trust you on the field? It's no different in college. You might have that talent in college, but if you ain't in that playbook, because don't they keep them hours?
Right.
They look at that stuff, so they're like, man, I want to get this kid on the field, but can I really trust him? I had a conversation with one of the guys now. He's a redshirt freshman at Penn State. He's doing great spring ball, but they was like, we want to see you around a little bit more. So you got to get in that playbook. So once you start, because they see the pro potential, what happens is a lot of kids, when they're in college, because they come out of certain situations where they ain't been held accountable, they don't understand that. They think, I'm out here killing, I'm doing this, doing that. But what it is they were trying to set you up to get to the league and be a professional. You see what I'm saying?
No, for sure.
Aaron is basically, when you got a guy, he basically takes 2 weeks off a year for 10 years.
That's great.
That was it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean? And this is the reason why he got the results
Right.
he got. And that's why sometimes everybody ain't the same.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So how do you kind of navigate that? Like when you see, because Tre's always like, I ain't got time to waste. Like if you ain't really about it, like I ain't training you. Like,
you don't, so it's like, I don't. It's, people already know, like, when you train with me, the pace I train, it's like I'm drowning you and pulling you up. And people don't like it. It makes you uncomfortable.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's what the league is.
Right.
I don't care. You get drafted first round, they still going to look for somebody to take your spot.
Yeah.
Being in the NFL, from when you talk to these guys, is the most uncomfortable thing in life. Because you don't know injuries go down. You don't know what's going to happen. Right. You know what I mean? You're not secure at all. Only contracts guaranteed is baseball. That's it. Yeah.
He just said a nugget right there, didn't he?
That's only one. So now, going back, when I'm dealing with a high school kid, I'm already got to look for the tendencies of them being a pro. If they don't have them, I don't care how athletic you are, I don't I don't waste my time with them.
Right.
Because they could be A, B, C, D, rank a 4 or 5 star, but there might be a kid that has the tendencies, checks off all the boxes and works hard.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that's going to end up getting in the league and lasting. Rodney Thomas.
Yeah.
7th rounder, Dane Jackson.
Listen, hold on though. They don't know though because he don't know, but I grew up around it. So Rodney wasn't the best guy in the group.
No,
not even close. And he just built himself. He really built himself in the fire.
Yeah.
Right.
How much do you think of that is ignorance and not knowing that you're not the best, but just showing up and work? Or is it literally just he was different mentally and he was able to overcome more?
I think his goes back to his parents. You know what I mean? His parents, because Rodney and his wife Katrina, they do those kids. They got them all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're excellent. They got them all and
that's
stuff
what it is,
involved
a
in
mindset
things.
thing.
Yeah, it's a mindset. So him translating into what he is now, I mean, he's disciplined. You know what I mean? You just got to be disciplined in order to make. That's like Dane. Dane's another one. He's coming from the Greenway Projects. I remember him walking down, but you could see the work ethic. He had the ability, and reason why. Look what Dane was just rewarded. You know what I mean? Because he's a professional. You know what I mean? He works hard. He comes early. He stays late. You know what I mean? So Dane's probably going to be able to have another contract coming up. He's probably going to play 10 years because the teams could trust him.
Yeah.
And that's what happens.
I think too, you don't even realize probably what you've built, and someone like an Aaron Donald, we've seen what he's accomplished on the field, but that mentality, we always talk about, the athlete never leaves.
Right.
So, these athletes that are, sugar-coated everything, throughout their whole career, the trainings aren't really that intense, I had some coaches that they'd let you slack, and if you didn't have the personal accountability, it wasn't going to you were slacking that day at practice or whatever. And so I think it's exciting, and I didn't mean to cut you off there. I'm excited to see what Aaron does post-career now, based off of those mental structures you've kind of helped him create around being an athlete, not just even an entrepreneur and business owner and all that stuff.
And then I'll say the biggest thing now, what I'm seeing is just in this generation, one of the worst things that's starting to happen is when you're a trainer or a coach and you got a child and I come to you, I'm like, they need to do A, B, C, D. And the parent is not trying to hear it, or they'll move them out of a situation because they're not being accountable. But it catches up to you eventually.
Right.
Yeah. You might get away with a high school. You might get away with a Major League high school. College, then you be like, well, why ain't I playing? Because you always got away with certain things, and when people was trying to hold you accountable and the coach or the trainer or someone said to the parent, and you just nah, I ain't trying to hear that. But now this is where everything comes full circle. And you might be able to get a little what it was in college, but in the league, guess what? I get phone calls in October, September, November. Hey, can I meet up with you and train? Why are you home? Hey, I got demoted down to practice team. Now I'm cut. So you go from making $40,000, $50,000 in a week to 10 to not even getting paid. I get those phone calls, and it's crushing to that player because you're like, man, I'm just as good as this guy, or I'm better than this guy. But you might not be doing the things, or your attitude or character might not be. You might be a locker room issue. Seen all that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, great players, but you know what I mean? They hold themselves in a different way. Another thing is, too, that people are, how some of these coaches say they want dogs all the time, but if you ain't able to control that dog as being a college coach,
Come on.
what happens is it gets out of control.
Come on.
So a lot of kids' characters, when they picking schools or picking universities, it got to line up with that coach, and that coach is able to maintain that.
Right.
And another thing is all dogs ain't fast. They might be able to play football, but in the NFL, you got to be able to run. That's another thing. So there's a lot of guys that are great football players, but they don't make certain teams because then they'll pick a horsepower guy that can run different things like that don't make the team over them.
So what you're talking about is that we talk about very frequently is like the business of sports.
Right.
Because a lot of these kids think that football is just football because they just been good at football their whole lives. It just happens.
Right.
They forget the fact that like football is still a business outside of football.
Exactly.
So if you can't maintain the professionalism that you're talking about, right, you will watch somebody walk in past you,
right,
taking your job.
Right. That ain't as talented as you. Yep. Just because you're not accountable.
Come on.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. The number one word is accountability. What I noticed where a lot of guys, they don't make it, they're not accountable for their own actions.
Yeah.
You know, they want to point the finger at everybody else, but you got to look at yourself.
Let me ask you this. About on the flip side of that,
Right.
right? You got a coach that only awards skill and talent over the accountability, like the people that are showing up to all the workouts, that are performing well, that know the playbook, that like, what do you say to those coaches? Because it's like, I feel like you're just enabling poor habits for the rest of that player's life for a temporary spark on the
I think
field.
a lot of them dudes, at the end of the day, when that talent goes away, they can't coach.
Yeah.
Think about it. Yeah.
Can we talk about it real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, let's talk about it because I ain't going to hold you. You know what I'm thinking. I ain't going to say no names. But what I'm saying is like you can see it in the new day and age of football.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Especially in college.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to him all the time. Like, I never played at the D1 level. I was D2 in college.
Right.
But I saw it there, too, where my freshman year I came in and we had 4 out of our 5 skilled position, like quarterback, the 2 inside slot receivers, the running back, and our one, the X receiver was like, they were all American, first string, all conference. We put up like 84 points in a playoff game against Edinburgh one.
Right.
And there was high talent on that team when I came in. And then there was like a transition. That coach was like, you know, the offensive coordinator was like really relying on the talent and everything. But like, you know, as soon as they left, it was like transfer after transfer. Whoever was getting the scholarship, whoever was getting the, like those were the guys getting the opportunity, while we had this team that was built, this like team of freshmen and sophomores that was behind these All-Americans learning like how to show up and be, you know, accountable, how to show up and hit the weights, like do all the things. And then I felt like I was part of this class that never got an opportunity because as soon as the talent left, we realized that like, oh shit, that's why we were winning.
Right.
Now it's like they tried to like so badly to get talent to replace when like I believe the class that we had in there could have got the job done with just the willpower alone.
Right.
Like so I think there's a balance there of like awarding opportunity based off of talent and skill, but then you can't get drunk off of that because now you're eating away at the like sustainability of your program. And like,
so think about that in a new day and age. And I want to ask you this question. What do you think is the best way to go about dealing with today's talent in college football? Because it's a lot like the NFL now, right? Where, like he said, you got guys who are skilled on one end. You can't give them everything because they might mess around and dip on you the next day, right? I tell people nowadays, I say, if you're a woman out there right now looking for a college athlete as a husband, you'll know who's going to cheat on you immediately. Because these guys are moving around so fast, right? So in your eyes, I want to know, like, what do you think it takes?
I think if on that aspect, the number one key, if you're in certain situations, if you're a coach that, if you don't know the X's and O's and like you just saying, you got to be able to recruit. That's the number one key. You got to be able to recruit whatever your system it may be and recruit those guys that fit that. So I know that if, depending on what level you're on, as far as like, if you're not a blue blood team like an Alabama, and it's any sport, football, baseball, whatever it may be, blue blood, then you gotta find guys that you gotta develop. And that's the main thing. And when you develop them by their red shirt sophomore year, whatever it may be, they gotta be ready. You know what I mean? So that way you keep that building block. You know what I'm saying? And this is like building anything. It's like Legos. Sometimes every program, some 5- and 4-star guys ain't meant for every program. But if you take certain guys and you develop them, then they can turn into that. That guy on that 4 or 5 program might leave early, you know what I mean? But you could turn them into an NFL prospect or whatever it may be. And that's all goes into having the right team around you, you know, your coaches or whatever it is, to develop the guys. But in today's age with the transfer portal, you might not see that development go on because now you're getting if you're one of these now, like for now in Western Pennsylvania, a lot of kids that used to get the FCS, the MAC offers because of this portal, they used to be able to go to these MAC schools and get developed and have a nice career. Now, they waiting for a dude to come from a Power 5, transfer down, and then make an immediate impact for the MAC team through the portal.
That's exactly what I was describing that I experienced because before, I played like 2009 to like 2012. So like right before the portal and all of that really was even starting to be talked about. So like we were still trying to figure out if concussions were still like a real thing back then. You know what I mean? Like, but I watched people come in from the we had Brandon Orr was a guy from Virginia Tech. He was a running back for them. And like had an all-conference season. And I don't know what happened, but I went for my visit my senior year when I already committed to go to West Lib. And dude, he was like playing. I was like, Brandon Orr, I went in the program. They like said his name from I didn't even know he transferred down here. It was like it was like a huge thing. And then every year it would be crazy. Like I'd refresh the roster on the website every day leading up to camp to just see who transferred down from what Division I program.
That's crazy.
And that West Virginia conference in the PSAC is like one of the top.
His conference.
That West Virginia in the PSAC is like the SEC and the Big Ten.
So you telling me right now, because he
D2.
He vows by West Liberty. So you telling me right now that
because you got to remember Rich Rodriguez coached that I forget Grand one of them.
Was it Fairmont?
No, Grand Valley or whatever. I can't remember where he's at, but no, that conference in Division II, the PSAC. In that conference, that West Virginia,
it was called the WIVIAC.
Where's Shepherd at?
Yeah, WIVIAC.
WIVIAC, yeah. Shepherd got dudes that go to the league
every year.
Yeah,
it was real
legitimately,
football, bro.
Like it's all, and it's still like that. Remember the quarterback for the Bears was from Shepherd 2 years ago.
Man, you was talking about number 2.
That conference, legitimately, is legit.
Yeah,
that's why, like right now with the transfer portal, if I'm a guy and I'm like, if I got Robert Morris, Duquesne, IUP Slippery Rock, and I know I can play at IUP Slippery Rock, Cal, any of these schools right away, I'm going to go Division II. I'm going to play. If I'm like that, the portal's going to call. But guess what? I can stay D2, and I'm going to let the NFL scouts see me at Division II and just get my shot from there.
Where my D2 Warriors out there, baby? I need my
like
people
right now, it doesn't make any sense.
Right now.
Some of these dudes is hitting the portal and they're going up. Number one, some of them ain't getting the money. And two, they sitting. You know what I'm saying? So it's like better just to, right now, honestly, on the recruiting side, I'm going where I'm going to play, make an impact, stay there, get to the league. Look at the dude from Toledo.
And chill.
The DB. First round.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no sense of, because listen, if you're gonna go to the league regardless, they're gonna find you. It's too much technology, it's too many phones.
That's it.
They're gonna find you. And if you putting up number, I'd rather be that big fish in a little pond.
Right now.
Right now. Yeah.
Man, you're saying some nuggets right now because people don't believe that. Like they still believe it's the old system. The old system don't exist.
Look. Sky's a perfect example.
Western Michigan, baby.
Yeah, he went to Western Michigan.
And whooped our ass.
He went to Western Michigan and he didn't get a pit offer at Penn State. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But he what's it called? He's in the league.
Right.
Catching touchdowns.
Yeah, he's in the league. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it just get there. That's all that matters.
Say it again so they can hear you. Just
get there. Yeah,
Come
and then
on,
you got to
man.
get to that second contract to set up yourself financially. You know what I'm saying? Don't be when you get there. Don't act like you now you're in the league and you buying Benzes, this, and that. You better buy a Honda or a Toyota or a Ford or Chevy,
a Kia.
something basic, a pickup truck. You know what I mean?
For real, though.
And then you get that second contract because you ain't gonna make this type of money when you get to the league when you go to the workforce.
So explain that a little bit.
You know what I mean?
Talk about that a little bit because a lot of kids think as soon as I get that first contract,
no,
it's up. Tell them about the second contract.
You got to get to that second contract. That's the key. So you got to get through the first 3-4 years and get to that second one to help your family out. Yeah, it's not the first one. You know, if you're a first round draft pick, that's a little different. You know, top 10, top 5. But still, even with that money,
Right.
You got to get to that second contract. That's what they don't understand. So it's about, once you get in the league, you got to stay in the league.
Say it again.
Yeah. Once you get in the league, you got to stay in the league. That's what they don't understand. Yeah. Think about, I look at it like this too, and I figured it out a long time ago. If we get 150 to 200 kids training, right?
Yeah.
Out of them kids, this is Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, at the height of our training down UPMC.
Right.
We get that many kids. 50 plus kids in there are going to be Power 5. 50 to 60. Now, mind you, maybe Power 5, then we're going to have another 20 kids, 10, 15, 20 FCS. The rest of them D2, D3, whichever way it be. And everybody, not everybody's a senior, just from 8, 9 years old on up.
Right.
Whatever it may be. So out of that, just in the class, let's say 10, 15 of those in the class go to college, they go D1. Out of that 10, 15 of them, let's say 20, because we've had classes of 20 guys in the class go Division 1. 20 of them go Division 1. Out of that class, 3 to 5 of them will have a shot for the pros. That's it. Out of a class. So this is why, in our last 5 to 7 years, we've been putting in 3 to 5 guys. Because, some guys red clutch shirt. You know what I mean? We've been able to put 3 to 5 guys coming out of the 210s training get a chance for pros. That year, I think the biggest, we had Kyle Adamitis, Kurt Hines, DeMar Hamlin, Rodney Thomas. Who else was in that class? Somebody else in that. It was 5 guys. I can't remember. There's a 5th one.
Could probably try to look.
I can't remember who it was in that class from the area.
Yeah.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
That's still crazy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So those numbers just don't, that's hard to find, you know what I mean?
Right.
Then the first guy that I trained, first guy that I get to the league was a first rounder, and that was Aaron. So Aaron and Will Clark went in the same league.
So Aaron was the first player you had go to the league that you trained or get drafted.
I think so. No, I might have been John
Baldwin?
Wetzel.
Okay.
John went to Brashear.
Okay.
And he graduated 09 from Brashear. But I think he might have been in that same class. I can't remember.
Right.
And John was 6'7", 6'8". And he played with Ed Tinker, Jermaine Robinson, and all those guys up there at Brashear.
Before one of your players obviously has the results.
Right.
How are you measuring success as a trainer? Because right now you got your North Star you could point to, obviously. But before that, was it just, hey, this player scored 10 touchdowns this year instead of 5? How did you?
I didn't pay attention to none of that. My biggest thing was, I think one of the biggest things that I'm consistent. I show up every time you see me.
You do show up
every day. You see something posted 210s.
Right.
If I ain't doing it, somebody else is. I'm consistent, and that's the main thing. When you're consistent and you show up, people gonna come. There's a lot of guys now because they're looking at the relationship I have with these guys, and they'll see me training these NFL guys. But guess what? I'm still training little kids too.
Yeah.
And I'm putting other trainers on. It ain't about me. It was never about me. People didn't even know who I was. They just seen the training. It's about the future.
Right.
So the other trainers, I want them to do their thing. You know what I mean? I want them to find it. It's about them. It ain't about me. Yeah. You know what I mean? So regardless, it's still now the culture's already set.
Right.
People gonna be 210s anyway.
Right.
They're gonna play in the league. They're gonna wear the brand.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So just different things like that. So, but I never did I never was into the whole competition. This and I just did it for the kids, genuinely, and the kids know. You know what I mean? It was all about them. It wasn't about me. But I knew what you're saying. There's some trainers. They get caught up. They make it about them. No, I don't even worry about that stuff.
That's huge, though, because, you're taking time to give back to your community, man.
Right.
And that's something that, I feel like we're losing that. You know what I'm saying? I really feel because a lot of guys who leave for the league don't come back to the hood, as I like to say, right? You never see these guys come back and be they might do a football camp, but, what more are you doing than that football camp?
Right.
And that's something to me that I'm very passionate about is because, anybody can do a football camp, but not everybody can do a leadership program. Not everybody can do a financial literacy program or whatever it may be that you're passionate about. Whatever your passion is as an athlete, give that passion back to these kids so they don't see it's a one-stop shop. Because we done seen, you know what I mean? I'm not going to name any names, but we've seen kids that everything is football. And once football is over, I pray that they are okay. I don't know if they're okay, but I pray that you are. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't want to see that anymore. So I want to give you your kudos, one, because I told you I want you to come on here and talk your shit. Because I like ultimately, bro, like I've known this man for a while now, bro. And when he's behind the scenes, I'm talking about like genuinely behind the scenes. It's hard to get a hold of you. You know what I mean? So like, let's talk about a little bit of the 7-on-7 football tournament that you're currently doing for the high schools that are locally.
So I started it up 4 years ago, and what happened was Coach Leroy, he came to me. And he wanted to do some 7-on-7 stuff. He was like, hey, we want to, think about doing this. Roy Johnson, he was at Still Rocks at the time. We want to do it, but put your brand on it because, people will come. Because I'm like outside, it's a little bit different with me because I got a different relationship with all these coaches. I'll train the teams. And due to the mere fact being on UPMC, that opens it up for everybody to come train. No matter what 7-on-7 team you're a part of, you can come get it and compete, and become friends. And actually, with me being down there, I got to give a shout out to Chris LaSala. Chris LaSala's my guy. A lot of stuff wouldn't have ever happened if it wasn't for Chris. It's breaking down barriers where you had kids that had beats from different neighborhoods. They're coming down there and they're being friends, and then some of them end up going to the same schools with each other. Then you get the mere fact that it's you got kids from a Mount Lebanon and Upper St. Clair. They don't know the dynamic from a kid that's from the north side, from the hill, from Belle Suver. And they get to see like, wow, this kid got to catch the bus down here. I'm coming in driving down myself. And they really get to see like the poverty and you know what I mean? Just how it is. Yeah, they don't understand that. I
mean, I went to Elizabeth Forward, so he coached there for a little bit. Past couple of years, but like, yeah, man.
That was an experience and a half, I ain't gonna
lie. I didn't have opportunities to like train in the city like that. And, I feel like when I went to college, that's when I was like, whoa. You know what I mean? I wish there were more things. Like I would go to camps, they'd be like host a camp at like Robert Morris or like whatever, but there wasn't like a 7-on-7 circuit. There wasn't like what you're doing at, down at the pit facility. Like it was more, and it was before social media was really like huge. I mean, we had social media, but like everybody was like not using it the way they are today. So it's like, I wish there were more things like that available. So I think it's great for the person who has brought it all together to have, the approach that you have where you're like, I'm putting the kids first. We're really looking at not just how to maximize skill, but like, how to actually create good people in the community and, bring everybody together, which is huge. Like, we're really big on that, man. Like we're really about like, even just the arts and the sports that we're bringing together through the show. There's communication, and we did the exhibit down at Stage AE, and we're focused on bringing the community together in a positive way, and that's what that whole event was. So having guests like yourself on who's doing that, outside of the podcasting space, but in the training space, like, I think we align a lot in that. So appreciate you coming on.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, I wanted to ask just a little bit about, if there's a player out there, right? Let's say they're training and they're not getting what they want to, like, what advice would you give for like a high school athlete or maybe a middle school kid that's coming up into high school? Like, where should they start? Should they reach out to you? Should they just show up to a training facility? Like, how does that all work?
Well, I mean, you could do it so many different ways now because everybody's essentially a brand now. And so now you could film yourself training. So the plus is coming down there with us, now you're around top guys. So if you're like Cruz Brookins was on playing Still Valley. Nobody really knew about him. They was hearing about him. I took a video of him doing some drills, sent it around. Next thing you know, he's getting scholarships because you can see it. You know what I'm saying? Different things like that. So, I'm blessed due to what's been built and the guys I'm dealing with. I'm able to see a certain kid in the relationship I have with coaches. I can help them out in certain ways. But you can also videotape your own stuff. You could market yourself on social media, and you put it out there and that correlates with your huddle, you're going to get found. There's no way around it.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's no way around it. So, but yeah, that's one of the main things. Just marketing yourself. Because essentially, you learn how to do this at a young age, you're an entrepreneur.
Right.
You're a business owner.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I think if more athletes could realize, like, you know,
Right now is
they
the time.
are, they don't realize they have a brand, but every player on a sports team has a brand right now. Like, NILs exist, and if you are playing a sport currently, you can get one.
Right. And
Like,
you can do, and you want to be annoying with it.
Yeah.
To the point where, hey, somebody's going to look.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Consistency.
So
you know what I
is
mean?
it like how much of it can be manufactured then? Because if it is for
A
just
lot,
you know what I'm
bro.
saying? Like I could have chopped up. Like if I know video editing, if I know
Right.
marketing, if I know branding
Well,
at a
that's
young
why
age,
that's why there's camps. So they're going, if you got a buzz, I've seen this social media wise, them hot college coaches are going to ask you, all right, let's see what you got. So when you come to the camp, you just better be ready. So now there's no excuses for these kids. You got Justin King, 40 Tech,
Right.
Mike McMahon, quarterbacks. You got various. You got the Hive. You got Marcus Johnson.
Right.
You wide receivers.
Right.
You got PJ Former running backs. You got. I mean, there's so many different dudes. You got Lonzo Mitchell, DB, Sean McCaskill,
Right.
DBs, Linwood, Jalen Coleman, linebackers.
Keep going.
Byron DeValis, C.J. Thorpe, linemen.
They all came back to get right. Yeah.
Elliot Donald. So you got different individuals doing different sports specific, position specific stuff.
Right.
Where when you all was coming up, you didn't have that.
Right.
So all you got to do is reach out to them.
Right.
Go to a field.
yeah,
go,
if you had a skills ladder in 2010, dude, you were like
Winning.
Yeah.
Up,
But that's what I'm saying.
Way
So
up.
now you got guys that are former college and pro guys. That's why we had a positional night on Thursday coming back. Then the mere fact, you got the speed and agility where you're going to tighten up all your, whatever you do, cone drills, this and that, the format that we got down there. And not only us, there's other people doing it. So right now for a kid, you just got to get the most out of your ability. And what parents got to understand is, I know what my kid actually is. If he's D3, he's D3. D2, D2. If he's D1, he's D1. That's what it is. It's just, and that's why, listen, you got to go to the camp. You got to run the 40. You got to camp. And you'll know, okay, if I'm Power 5, D1, this is what I'm going to get. And now in today's recruiting, if I'm a kid, guess what? I'm committing. If I'm a senior I'm a junior going into my senior year, and I got offers on the table, and say if I don't have a Power 5 offer, I'm committing by May, June
of this year,
my school getting over and done with, and let it play out. If somebody Power 5 wants to get my senior year, but I'm committing. I'm not messing with it because by the time August comes, July, August, when they do the fall ball,
Right.
there's going to be dudes in the portal again.
It happens every time.
Yep, and then they're going to be taking spots. And they're going to be going, falling down. So if I'm a guy, I know I got a couple offers, I'm getting that stuff over and done with. Because I'm hearing they about to change the signing day to June anyway.
Oh, that's scary.
what I'm hearing.
I'm not going to lie to you, that's scary. And the reason why I think that's scary is because when I was playing, there was 25 scholarships for high school guys.
Right.
Now I guarantee you there's probably like 10 and maybe even less than that in certain circumstances.
Or they giving, what happens is now in the game they're doing now is, now they're finding you younger, they're offering you, but now they're monitoring you. So you might have, you see, I'm blessed to receive an offer from all these different schools, but if you don't go camp or you don't had a production, guess what? You try to commit, oh, no, you ain't got that. So there's going to be a lot of kids out here that got Power 5 offers or offers in general. When they try to commit, they ain't going to take it because their production ain't been good enough. Or they might have another guy. I've seen a kid, he might be top 50, but if this school got, if he's a DB, he might be top 50 DB, he might be number 50. But if number 5, 15, and 25 committed before 50 and that spot's filled,
not getting it.
You're not getting it. Think about that.
Yeah.
You could be
top 50 in the nation.
50 in the nation, but if number 5, 15, and 25 committed before you, oh, we don't want you. You got to go somewhere else.
That's even scarier because the transfer portal, you got to think like you're not just playing against the guys that are just in your class.
Right.
Now I'm playing against guys who are grown men before I even
Right.
actually compete against grown
Right.
men. I remember being a freshman and seeing that, like, yo, he got 2 kids.
Right. So one of the best thing is this: if I'm a parent in this game and recruiting, is if you can do this, you enroll early. You get the grades on track, so you can graduate early. Because when you go in January, you got that whole couple months to
prepare.
Prepared for college. So when spring hit, you got a whole spring season underneath you.
Yeah.
So by the time you roll around for fall,
You're ready.
you already know what to do.
Yeah.
You already, that's
Playbook,
Rayon
everything.
Strader. He became an All-American because he enrolled early. Talking to Tate Mir, Lamont Payne, all these guys that enroll early, they're they redshirted, but they're on track right now. Cruz didn't enroll early, but Cruz is a junkie. He's a football junkie. Listen, Cruz is like by far one of my favorite guys. All of my favorite, but Cruz is in that film room. He's in the film room, and he got Deron Barksdale on the same level. That's a sophomore, going to be junior at Still Valley. Those guys, Donald, those guys are football maniacs. I eat, sleep. But that's a rarity when you find a kid,
that at all.
he's already in the film. That's why you're going to see Cruz coming up this year. You've been hearing about him down Pitt. He's going to play fast because he already knows attention to detail. So
Well, I mean, that's the benefit of being there early is to get in that system.
Well,
of like, you need to do this, but if you're doing it on your own,
right? He didn't go early, but he's the only one I've seen like didn't enroll early. That's able to
still be ready.
Like, if you can do that on your own,
right?
Like
Braylon Lovelace's another one. Braylon enrolled early. That's why Braylon was able to play.
young
that's
Lovelace.
what I'm saying. Braylon was one of them kids that nobody thought he was going to be that good. I told Braylon his dad.
He's from Leechburg. They try to disrespect.
I told his dad, you could ask his dad this. I said, man, your son going to make it. He going to go to the pros. They looked at me, come on. You know, I'm like, but you can see it because the parenting. You can see it. Braylon been around us since he was 9 years old. His dad always brought him around the guys. And when he made the transition to college, he was able to play.
He was easy.
Yeah, because he's a kid. You ain't got to worry about nothing. He's going to do all the right things off the field.
Over and over again.
So for what he ain't on the field, he's going to be able to gain the coach's trust. You know what I'm saying? So back to the league, though. I remember he's talking about that. So started out with 8 teams. First 2 years, I took my own money. 8,000. Took 8,000 the first year. And people was like, man, why don't you charge the teams this? I said, I don't want to because long term, I'm gonna be able to drive sponsorship.
Right.
We're doing violence prevention.
Right.
We're getting kids off the streets. Bought the shirts, put the brand on there. Live stream it through Roxy Moore. Shout out to Roxy Moore Sports because they help out with the live stream and stuff for the league. So coaches was able to come down during that period in May and see the guys perform. Like, man, it's a great idea because before they was doing 7-on-7s amongst the high school teams, it'd be 3 teams. Coaches would come in, you know what I mean, see a couple teams.
No, for sure.
So next year we went up to 12. Came out of my pocket again. I ain't care.
Right.
Like, I see the vision. Went to 12. Last year went to 22, then it went berserk. You know what I mean? And everybody's like, the 2/10 league.
Got to get down
my
there.
idea was when I grew up, it was Ozanam. Shout out to the Ozanam. Darrell Porter.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You had Ozanam, you had the area in Belsuver. I think you had Reisenstein, the Hill. I think you had Northside when I was growing up.
Okay.
And you had 4 different sections where there was like 8 teams and the winners would play each other. You know, the winner of each section played each other in the championships down Reisenstein. Then when I played in it was just on the Hill. But there was really nobody was worried about no AAU.
Right.
It was like, man, you played in your neighborhood.
You was
color
like that.
shirts. Everybody met up there. If you was a guy, Will Macon, Dante Calabria, you was watching Samba Johnson, you was watching all these dudes, you know what I mean? You know, playing against Eddie Benton, coach.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Eddie
Wayne
B, shout out.
Yeah, all these different guys. But it was like, you knew, like, we didn't care who you was from. You knew you had to get down and play.
Right.
And I said, man, I said there was a divide between the high school coaches and the 7-on-7 at the time because of the club stuff.
Right.
Because you had different kids on different 7-on-7 teams in the same school, and it caused a little rift, this and that. So I said, this is a way to get the coaches in the 7-on-7 culture, and they can run their stuff. And then now we up to 26 teams, and it's
gonna grow more.
It's taking off, and now it's the place to be at the Wolverine on Tuesday and Wednesday.
I will be there.
So this past week we had 15 coaches on Tuesday, 15 on Wednesday, just to see. I'm hearing Michigan's supposed to come in the 28th and 29th.
Huge.
You know what I'm saying? So now last year we had O State there, you know what I'm saying? Pitt, Penn State, all the local guys.
Right, they're going to be there for sure.
Duquesne, all the, you know what I mean? And it's a way where you could show your skill set without having that pressure to camp. They could be like, oh, we got to see this guy and invite you in. Because it's during that time period when the coaches can come out and recruit. Right. So that's why I started it.
I'm pretty sure one kid went viral for getting a one-hand catch from Woody High.
Right.
And then got that thing
up like this?
Man.
Right.
The one that was down. No, the one that was down.
Is that the one I'm talking about?
No, the one you're talking about was down when he was at
you were down at
UPMC.
Okay.
UPMC.
Oh, yeah.
Dude caught it like this.
That was Jenkins.
Man, I was like, hey, yo, hold on.
I started that Bring Your 7 where I can, it don't matter what high school team, you just play pick up 7-on-7, ain't no coaches, and y'all just rock out games at 3. Picks is worth 2.
Man, that's like going back to when you played.
I want to do that.
I want to do that now.
Yeah, that's what we do.
You got adult leagues?
Nah. Games is a 3.
Launch it,
Picks
dude.
is worth 2. It is quick.
Right.
You got to just ball.
I need the adult.
And it's fun for the kids.
You know what this reminds me of? Remember when you was back like as a kid? And I know when you would go to the hoop court and it's like, yo, I'm next.
Right. That's all it is.
Like,
that's all it is. And I said, because kids want to do 7-on-7 and we got the positional. So positional we did for years, but you could tell once it got to April, it started to phase out a little bit. So, and a lot of dudes didn't want to go one-on-ones and stuff like that. So I said, look, I'm going to start just Bring Your 7. That way it broke the monotony up. So you got positional one Thursday, and then the following Thursday, you got Bring Your 7.
Right.
And it worked out. Yeah, I just basically, just found out what the need was with the kids and just took it and put some structure around it, and they love it.
Man.
You know what I mean? And it created brand awareness. So during the league, you see them 2-10s with the different colors on there, and they're able to get the brand out there more.
Man, I'm advocating for 2-10 adult league, 7-on-7. I'm advocating crazy for that because you're going to see Uncle Tre out there getting busy. That's all I got.
They got like the outdoor hockey rinks. Like, we just need an indoor football facility. Like, it's just a rink outdoors with like turf and
get it cracking.
Pads around the boards.
Let's get it cracking. I don't care how it looks. Let's get it cracking. I just want to ask this last question, man, before we get up out of here, because I need your personal opinion. You're the guy who's been around long enough to know, right?
Right.
Besides Cruz, because I know that's going to be one of your guys, who's the next guy up? Who's the big... Actually, let me ask this question. It's a better question.
Okay.
Who's the best in the Whippeal right now?
The best guy in the Whippeal?
Right now.
Put my man on the spot.
On the spot. He ain't got no choice.
Best guy? It's so hard.
I know it is.
It's so hard.
From 1A to 6A. At least give me the top guy in each class. Can I try to get that?
Yeah, let me think. 1A, it got to be the dude from Fort Cherry C.
You talking about Matt C? Yeah. Shout out to Matt C, young guy.
Yeah, 1A. I'm going to tell you, too, I'm going to get something I want to talk about how now the coaches is saying production over classification, too.
Okay.
That's one of the big things that I've been talking to coaches about.
Okay.
Matt, 2A, I think it's once he get healthy, it's Deron. Deron does stuff. Deron does stuff a lot. Like Still Valley.
Okay.
He does stuff a lot like Parrish Ford.
Wow.
Where he covered 3/4 of the field. Actually, he was able to learn underneath Parrish.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Deron's different, and he could jump. He's just different. If he plays in the Whippeal Championship, it would have been different. He's a game changer. He does stuff you can't. He reminds you of Marlon Humphreys.
Damn.
Whoa.
Yeah, because he's able to strip balls. Think about it. He only played 3 games, and he still was top 250 in the country.
That's crazy.
In his sophomore year, he got injured.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because he does stuff that's unaccounted for. You know what I'm saying? And he's a leader. 3A. Who's in 3?
That's what I'm saying. It's a blank canvas over
Yeah,
there.
who's in 3A?
I like right now, if you want my
Where's he
personal
at?
opinion, I'm about to say there's a kid from EF
Number
right now
one,
that I
right?
like. He's
Charlie?
not number 1.
What's that running back's name?
Charlie Nougat. He's pretty good. But
Yeah, I got to see him. Yeah, some kids I ain't seen, they ain't come around.
He's pretty good, but it's weird for classification when it comes to 3A because in my eyes, I'm going to be honest, and this is me being honest on live, since it went to 6A, Whippeal football sucks. Listen. I mean this with all due respect. Well, I say this with all due respect, and the reason why
it was more competitive in the 4. It was
so competitive.
We'd have 3 or 4 teams on our schedule. We recently played my high school highlight tape, so I got to bless Tre with that. But we laughed through that one. I remember when we would play certain teams that are now the teams that EF plays.
Right.
We would beat them by 40. When we were playing,
there's a lineman down there, right?
You talking about
he got the he comes down.
Climbs.
Yeah, Climbs is I like Climbs.
Christian Climbs.
Mm-hmm.
He's from EF.
Oh.
Yeah, he got offers. He's aggressive.
He's aggressive.
I like dude. Yeah, I like
he's gonna beat you up, but continue your story.
No, I just think that I'm just agreeing with you guys that when you restructured it, now EF goes to the playoffs and almost the Whippeal Championship every year. We were lucky to sniff the playoffs when I was there. It was because of the teams we were playing.
It's so bad right now, D. I don't know what you think personally. Me personally. If I go to a 6A game and you tell me I got to beat one team to get the playoffs,
they should at least go. I think. Well, that's because of over in the East. That's the thing.
So stay
they
5.
got the numbers.
You should at least go 5.
Yeah, they got the numbers. Yeah, they got the numbers to do it. And sometimes I think too. They went to the 6A state-wise to consolidate some of these schools where you got some of these smaller schools. They could do it in the East, but in the West, where if they consolidate, like they wanted schools more like a Woody High. You know what I mean? That's just like in the city.
Right.
In the city, like it's 5 teams. It's almost like some of it should be like they should. I think this is me personally in the city that they should move Carrick into Bashir and make it the old Bashir High School and take the middle school and put it in Carrick. So you make Bashir one huge high school.
How long do you think it'll be before the city league becomes the Whippeal? This is what I'm thinking.
I don't know if it ever will because you still got a school like Westinghouse that's a community school and is thriving, you know what I'm saying, athletically.
Right.
That'd be a hard
unless
you just maybe you do it, they just be a single way school in the Whippeal, and then like if you did do that with Bashir, they would be 5 or 6.
They need it.
Yeah, because if they did that with some of the talent, it would be hard to stop in basketball and football.
Come on.
Yeah, taking that what's called up there.
But finish your classification. Go ahead.
No, 3A, I really don't know. 4A, you got there's some dudes in there. What is McKee Sports 4A?
Yes.
Yeah, Kimon is different. Kimon reminds me of he got a little bit of Miles in him, and he got Kalik in him a little bit.
Miles Sanders and Kalik.
Kalik, yeah. There's some things about him he's different because he can also play DB. Kimon is tough. He's tough. 3A,
big husky, cuz I know what you're talking about. He's husky as shit for a freshman.
3A. I mean, Khalil's different.
Right.
Taylor. I mean, he running 10-8s.
No, he's fast.
You know what I'm saying? And you only going to Khalil's real different. 5A. What's Latrobe in? 5 or 6?
Oh, I don't know.
I think they're 5. They're 5.
Dude, that linebacker from Latrobe is real. Yes.
You might have to go check some games out.
Listen, that linebacker they got from Latrobe is like, it kind of remind me like how Cole Sullivan, when I got to be around Cole, because Cole got a chance to start at Michigan right now.
He does.
Cole's different.
I've watched him.
Cole's different. Cole is a pro. Yeah, and just being around Cole since he came in the 9th grade and watching his progressive, Cole's different. If this dude from Latrobe, he committed to Penn State.
Might be better.
Nah, I ain't gonna say that. But there's something different when you 6'5" out there picking stuff off and running back stuff back.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
You could he's you know like can cover, he can blitz.
All the above.
Like he's different.
Okay, so who's 6A top guy?
6A. That's what I got to figure out. Latrobe 5 or 6, but 6A, from what I'm seeing.
It's a hard pick, man. There's only 5
Yeah, I got to
teams.
see the lineman too. I got to see the lineman because essentially the lineman is.
That's 6A ball.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and then in 3A you got so many dudes. No, well, what Aliquippa, you got Tyke by 5. Tyke's a pro. You know what I'm saying? He's 5A. Tyke's a pro. Tyke's just different.
Right.
Yeah, Tyke's just like it won't like he's an NFL type guy. He got it.
Elite.
Just being around him, the dude vertical leap is crazy. All the numbers, like the dude, and then he's a happy, a joyful guy. Tyke by far, I forgot they was 5'8" out of court. Yeah, Tyke by far, he's different. He's different. 6A.
This is hard,
well,
bro.
I'll get you off the hook here. Maybe we can just do. Last year we did Athletic Aesthetic Game of the Week, and we sent our videographer Swing, and he would hop around and like
check everything out.
Pick someone.
James Henry's different too. The kid down Central Valley, he's another one there's a lot of dudes that I see.
We need your forecast for this season,
all of your
and
forecast.
we'll go to those games.
Okay.
We'll do an AA player of the game. We'll like maybe highlight some of these guys and like make some content from.
I was thinking I ain't
help
gonna
them
lie.
out with
Right.
recruiting, but also just like I want to see it myself.
Maybe we make a segment. You know what I'm saying?
That's fine.
You know what I'm
Player of the
saying?
week segment?
Maybe,
I'll come back.
All right.
During the high school season, that's fine.
That would be dope.
Yeah,
dude.
I'll come back.
How you want to wrap this up, Vinny?
Yeah,
I want to see what skills you got for me today.
To wrap it up, I don't know. I would just say like I think we should have you back on. I think
Okay.
we should talk through the season, figure something out
100%.
like that because when he told me like you were coming in, I was pumped. Just transparently because I feel like a lot of our viewers are
Right.
people you train or
Right,
like
right.
in the same field. We're like
Right.
we're not just Pittsburgh, but like we're expanding into Pittsburgh a little bit more deeper every
Right.
single week. So because we're talking to people from Pittsburgh.
Right.
So
Right.
I want to figure that out with you, and so maybe
No, I'll do it, and I can come back and give you insight on some
I
of the
think
guys.
that'd be great. So
Yeah.
we'll figure that out, once we wrap up here or whatever, what that looks like. But maybe just give the viewers like, what's your final message, or like, what's something that they can look for coming up, or like, what do you want them to know?
Right now, we got the 210s leagues every Tuesday and Wednesday, 5 to 8 out at the Wolf Arena. We'll be there till June 15th. June 15th is the Saturday championship. You want to be there because all the teams are automatically get in as one and done. And then we'll have the 150 camp coming up here. I'm just trying to survey the date, either June 29th or July 7th out Shadyside Academy. It'll be due to, most likely, we might have it the 29th. And that's when I have invited all the top guys from the area. The writers come in, and that's a big deal. And
Cool.
that'll be it. And after that, it's ready for high school football.
Let's get it, man. Let's get it, man.
Well, this won't be the last time our viewers and listeners
At
see you. So
210THS. Instagram and Twitter.
there it is,
Yeah.
baby. Hey, man, thanks for coming on today, man. It's been a pleasure getting to talk to you and get to know you a little bit. Trey, anything else?
I think it's time to sign out.
All right, man. Well, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you follow us on social media. And we got a lot more content coming up, and we got some surprises for you apparently during football season.
Big
So,
surprises.
Without further ado, man, thanks for listening. Trey, you want to give them the sign out?
We're athletic. Wow. I mess this up every day, so don't worry about it. We're athletic aesthetic.
And we love you.
Man.
Boom.
You mess it up at least once a week. At least once a week.